Stephen Walker, and this is Word on the Street.
In this week's programme, a trip to Paris, and Stephen is struggling with a new language.
And Ashley's struggling with her shopping bags. Wow, you have been busy.
Yes, and my French is really improving.
And we ask how European the British really are.
Hi, and welcome to the programme.
Now, you're learning English, but you might not know that Stephen is learning another language too.
Yes, I'm learning French, and this week we went to Paris. It made me realise how difficult it is. I made so many mistakes.
Oh, you were really good.
Yes, there are lots of different ways to make yourself understood when you're learning another language. Don't forget, you can follow each programme on our website. The address is here on the screen.
While I was learning some new words, Ashley was trying some new food.
And something to look out for. We see Stephen having a few problems with French. What does he do to communicate?
Come on, Stephen.
I'm coming.
We're going on a trip to Paris. It's a very short train ride from London, and it's a chance to experience some French culture and do some shopping.
Ashley's never been to Paris before. I've been loads of times, and I'm looking forward to practicing my French.
Oh, come on, you can practice your French on the train. Paris, here we come.
There's something I'm really missing. Remember when it's two us kissing. Remember when it's to make love, lazy on the ground. There's something out about what we're missing. Seems a promise that I'm on the whistle.
Avez-vous?
That's good, Stephen. Good to see you making an effort.
Merci beaucoup. That's a thank you in French.
Right, so how long does it take? About 2.5 hours? So we will be in Paris just in time for dinner.
We can get something to eat on the train.
No, let's wait until we get to Paris. French food is fantastic. I want to eat in a French cafe. I don't want to eat a train sandwich when I could eat a lovely French meal.
Okay then.
Oh, and you can order the food in French.
Great, I'm going to practice. What's French for dinner?
Wow, here we are. Oh, it's so exciting to be in Paris. Right, we need to get a taxi. I want to see the Eiffel Tower first, and then we can have something to eat.
There aren't any taxis here. Let me ask someone. Excusez-moi.
Oui.
Où est le taxi?
Il y en a juste là-bas, là.
Merci.
Merci.
See, Ashley, you would never have found a taxi without me.
Yeah, come on. Right, now we've done some sightseeing, it's time for something to eat.
What do you want, Ash? Here comes the waiter.
Can I have one of those, please?
Are you sure?
Yes, I'm sure.
Bonsoir. Je voudrais un steak frites, 2 cafés au lait et un escargot.
Ok, un escargot, un steak frites et 2 cafés au lait.
Yes, oui.
Oui.
C'est tout.
Merci.
That's great, Ash. You understood.
Well, I certainly didn't. That's good, Stephen. It's so good to see you trying to practice your French.
Well, I need to work on my pronunciation. I didn't sound very French, did I?
You got the food. That's the important thing. Well done.
Well, I think it's polite. You have to try and speak the language of the country you're visiting. You got to practice if you want to learn.
Yeah, I suppose you're right. What are they? They look like snails. I didn't order those.
Yes, you did. That's what you pointed to in the menu.
Stephen, I haven't eaten snails before.
Well, try them. You might like them. Bon appetit.
They're good. But I'm going to make sure I know what I'm ordering next time. So when I go shopping, I don't make any mistakes.
We'll be back in Paris later, but first, let's take a quick look through all of that with our English language expert, Rob, from the British Council. Hi, Rob.
Bonjour, Stephen. Ça va?
Oui, ça va bien. Merci.
You did well in France. You're a good language learner.
Merci beaucoup.
And now you know how people feel when they're learning English or when they come to the UK and they have to speak English.
Yes, I do.
Did you feel nervous?
Yeah, really. Especially at first. It gets easier, though. People were really nice when I tried to speak French.
Exactly. People are usually very kind and helpful when you try to speak their language. It's like you said here.
Well, I think it's polite. You have to try and speak the language of the country you're visiting. You got to practice if you want to learn.
Yeah.
You do have to practice. Look at some of the things you did. You practiced by yourself on the train. That's something anyone can do. You don't need an English speaker next to you to practice. And then you had a go at speaking, like here in the restaurant.
Bonsoir. Je voudrais un steak frites, deux cafés au lait, et un escargot.
Okay.
Yeah, Ashley just pointed at things. I want this one.
Well, that's okay too. If you don't know the word, you can point at things. Use anything that will help. But it's always good to try and speak.
But I made quite a lot of mistakes.
It doesn't matter. You have to make mistakes when you're learning a language. It's part of how you learn. And the waiter understood what you wanted.
Un escargot, un steak frites et deux cafés au lait.
Yes, oui. C'est tout.
Merci.
Don't worry about the mistakes too much. The important thing is communication and getting your message across.
Yeah.
Speaking of making mistakes, I'll tell you something that lots of learners find difficult. We're going to look at make and do. Watch these clips.
And it's a chance to experience some French culture and do some shopping.
That's good, Stephen. Good to see you making an effort.
Right, now we've done some sightseeing, it's time for something to eat. So when I go shopping, I don't make any mistakes.
Why do we say do some shopping and do some sightseeing, but make an effort and make mistakes?
Is it because do... I don't know.
Right. There isn't really a reason. Some things go with do and some things go with make. I'll give you some more examples. We say do your homework, do business, do your best, do some work. But we say make a decision, make a mess, make a phone call.
So what's the rule, Rob?
Well, you might see rules in grammar books, but you really just have to...
Learn them. I'm glad I'm not learning English.
It's not so difficult. You practice them and you start to remember them. Just like you with your French, remember? Practice makes perfect.
Oui, c'est vrai.
Très bien.
Très bien. Thank you, Rob. Now it's time for our weekly quiz, Streetwise.
What makes the UK different from most other European countries? We have more rain, we drive on the left, or we drink more tea.
Did you get that? Stay watching to find out the answer later in the programme. Britain is very close to France, but how similar are we?
Many countries in Europe are part of the European Union, but does that bring them closer together? As Amandeep found out, France might be a short distance away, but culturally, we're still quite far apart.
Welcome to Dover Castle on the south coast of England, which for centuries played a crucial role in the defence of Britain. We're close enough here on a clear day to see France in the distance. Dover Castle was the headquarters for the battles which ensured Britain's survival from threats across the Channel. Now, of course, things are very different. The UK has joined together in an economic and political partnership with other countries in the European Union. Many laws and important decisions are no longer made by the British Parliament, but by the European Parliament in Brussels. But unlike most EU countries, the UK has refused to give up its national currency, the pound. I'm at a farmer's market in an English town with a French name, Capel-le-Fern. It's a reminder of the last successful invasion of Britain almost 1,000 years ago by the Normans. Here I have some euros, currency used in many European countries, but can I spend them here? Hi there. Could I pay for this with some euros? No? No?
I don't accept euros.
You don't accept? Oh, sorry. No? No. Okay, all right.
No, I don't think I would like to Britain to use the euro because at the moment it's pretty unstable.
I wouldn't like to see the UK go down the line of joining the euro.
So as we heard there, Britain's traditional sense of independence remains strong. The Channel Tunnel is one way to travel to and from mainland Europe, but many people still use the ferry. On the ferry to France, I met Stephen Clark. He writes about Britain's relationship with Europe. Why do other EU countries see Britain as a reluctant member of Europe?
Because at the beginning of the European Union, the French didn't want us in the European Union, so they didn't want us in, and now we're here, so we're participating, but slightly reluctantly because we were the late arrivals at the party. Obviously our past relationship, the wars we've had, it means that now we don't really trust each other. There's something about the past that we can't forget.
Okay, let's see what the other view is on this. Agnes Poirier is a French writer.
Well, the fact that Britain is an island might actually explain some of what we consider sort of strange behavior from the British who don't see themselves as being part of Europe. But when you look at the map, that's what I often tell my British friends, look at the map, you're here, you're with us.
I'm now in a market in Calais in France. Let's see what happens when I try to spend British pounds here.
No?
So I got some cheese, bread and flowers, but I had to pay in euros. They weren't interested in British pounds. We are only 40 kilometres from Dover, and many things look the same, but some things are very different. The future relationship between the UK and the EU is something that will keep politicians and journalists busy for a long time.
If you'd like more help with the language you heard there, you can go to our website. The address is on the screen.
This is Word on the Street.
Still to come in the programme, on the tourist trail in Paris, and my French is really improving. Bonjour. Bonjour. Combien?
And have you worked it out yet? Stay watching to find out the answer to Streetwise.
Most countries in Europe are now part of the European Union. But what does it actually mean to be a member? In this week's Seat on the Street, we asked our expert about the advantages and disadvantages of political union.
Welcome to Seat on the Street.
Hello.
Please identify yourself.
I'm Shireen Wheeler and I present the BBC's Record Europe programme.
What is meant by the European Union?
The European Union was set up after World War II, and the idea 50 years ago now was to create such deep political and economic connections that there would be no real incentive for Europeans to fight each other again.
What does it mean to be part of the European Union?
Well, to join the European Union, most countries have to be prepared to give up some national powers to European institutions, like the European Parliament and the European Commission. And they've agreed to set up the single market. That's an area of free and easy trade, and more than half of EU members have also signed up to the single currency, the euro.
What are the benefits of the European Union?
Well, supporters of the European Union say that the system promotes a much better standard of living across Europe. They also think that the EU promotes human rights across the continent for those in the European Union and also for those wanting to join. And they say that speaking together as the European Union gives the EU a much stronger voice on the world stage.
What are the bad things about the European Union?
Some people feel that joining the European Union involves too much giving up of sovereignty. They think it's all turning into too much of a superstate. Another criticism is that you can't really have common rules for the whole of Europe, that they don't take into account the real differences between governments and different countries. And an increasing criticism is that it's all about richer countries rescuing the poorer ones.
Thank you for taking part in Seat on the Street.
It's my pleasure.
OK, let's go straight back to Paris and see how we got on.
Yes, Stephen was practicing his French and I was ready to start shopping.
And something to look out for, what advice does Stephen receive on language learning from the woman at the market?
Well, that was a nice hotel. I slept really well.
Me too. OK, time to see more of Paris. Is there anything especially you want to see?
Oh, everywhere. I'd love to see Notre Dame. Oh, and the Arc de Triomphe. Let's go. This way, I think.
My very special friend thinks that sweet dream is me.
C'est combien, s'il vous plaît?
C'est 10 €.
Merci. See, Ashley, I told you I could make myself understood. It's all about confidence. I'm going to keep practicing, and I'm not going to worry about making a few mistakes. People understand me, and that's the main thing.
Yeah, right. And you're confident. OK. Now, listen, we've done some touristy places. Now it's time to do some shopping.
I read on the internet about a great area. It's where you can meet artists. It's near the river. I think it's called the Left Bank.
Hey, why don't you ask someone for directions? Remember, it's all about confidence.
Bonjour.
Bonjour.
Combien le portrait?
Celui-ci est à 150.
150. Ah, 150 euros.
That's right. 150 euros. Your French is pretty good.
Oh, thank you. Well, I'm trying my best. Your English is very good.
Well, I'm French, but I use English a lot. English is a really useful language. Around here, there are a lot of tourists, so they often speak to me in English.
Yes, I guess we're lucky that some people speak English. But today I'm hoping to improve my French. I need to speak more and not worry too much about making mistakes.
Yes, you can always improve. You never stop learning. I always pick up new words talking to tourists, and learning a language is so important, I think.
I know what you mean.
So would you like to buy a painting? I mean, voudriez-vous acheter une peinture?
Thanks, but it's a bit expensive.
Hi, Stephen.
Oh, hi, Ash. Good luck with your practice.
You too.
Right, I'm almost done with my shopping.
Wow, you have been busy.
Yes, and my French is really improving. I bought all of these using your Facebook. I just need to get something else. I need to get something from that shop over there. But you wait here, and I'll be back in a moment. Okay, Stephen, I wanted to get you something special. Something to remind you of our trip to Paris.
Oh, that's nice, Ash.
Ta-da!
What's that?
Oh, you look great, Stephen.
Merci beaucoup.
And now I know that that means thank you very much in French.
Nice hat. Why isn't Stephen wearing it today?
It's nice, isn't it? Very French.
Yeah. How did you enjoy your trip to Paris?
Oh, it is so beautiful. I just loved it.
And what about your French? We didn't see you speaking a lot of French.
Oh, I know. I'm not like Stephen. He just starts talking and all this stuff comes out. I can't do that. I can't remember the words and I worry that I'll make mistakes. I mean, what if I make lots of mistakes and nobody understands me?
I know what you mean. I think everybody feels like that sometimes when they're learning a language. But you know, actually, Stephen said it very well. Look.
It's all about confidence. I'm going to keep practicing, and I'm not going to worry about making a few mistakes. People understand me, and that's the main thing.
He's right. It is all about confidence. Language is about communication. You can make mistakes and still communicate with people, still get your message across. And that's the important thing. Grammar is important, of course, but if you worry so much about grammar mistakes that you don't want to say anything...
Well, then you'll never say anything.
That's right. You can't learn without making mistakes. Anyway, I want to move on now. I want to ask you a question, Ashley.
Go on.
What does well mean?
Well?
Well,
it's something to do with good. I don't speak French very well.
yeah, it's the adverb from good. Good is the adjective, and we use it with nouns. Well is the adverb, and we use it with verbs. You speak very good English. Good describes the noun, English. You speak English very well. Well describes the verb, speak. Look, you used well as an adverb here.
That was a nice hotel. I slept really well.
I slept really well. Here, well describes the verb slept. But now I want you to look at some other wells. Watch this.
Well, I'm trying my best.
Well, I'm French, but I use English a lot.
Well, I certainly didn't.
Well, try them. You might like them.
See, a few wells there, but they weren't adverbs like I slept well. What did well mean in those clips?
Well...
Exactly. Well is often just something we say at the start of sentences, almost to give us some time to think, so people know we're going to say something.
I see. A bit like the word right. I sometimes say that when I'm thinking about what to say.
Yes, it's like right. It's a useful way to give yourself some extra time, and it sounds very English. So if you're learning English, why not try it? Well, it might help you.
Right. Well, I think that's all we've got time for. Thanks, Rob. Now, we've just got time to find out the answer to this week's Streetwise.
What makes the UK different from most other European countries? We have more rain, we drive on the left, or we drink more tea? And the answer is, in the UK, people drive on the left-hand side of the road.
hope you got that. If not, better luck next time. Well, that's about it from the three of us.
Well, today we looked at how to be a good language learner, and there were two big lessons. Firstly, you have to practice, and secondly, you have to make mistakes. It's impossible to learn to speak a language without making mistakes, so don't be afraid to speak. The important thing is to communicate. And speaking of making mistakes, we talked about expressions with do and make. Some things go with do your homework, do business, and some things go with make a decision, make mistakes. You have to learn them and remember them. Well, there's just one more thing. Well. There's well the adverb, you speak English very well, but there's also well, when we're thinking about what we want to say. Think you've got that? Well done. Don't forget to visit our website for more help with your English.
Thanks, Rob. From Ashley, Rob and me, goodbye.
Goodbye.
Lazy on the ground. There's something odd about what we listen. Seems to follow time on the whistle.
That's good, Stephen. Good to see you making an effort.
Merci beaucoup. That's a thank you in French.
Right, so how long does it take? About 2.5 hours? So we will be in Paris just in time for dinner.
We can get something to eat on the train.
No, let's wait until we get to Paris. French food is fantastic. I want to eat in a French cafe.
Stephen Walker, and this is Word on the Street.
In this week's programme, a trip to Paris.
I made so many mistakes.
Oh, you were really good.
Yes, there are lots of different ways to make yourself understood when you're learning another language. Don't forget, you can follow each programme on our website. The address is here on the screen.
While I was learning some new words, Ashley was trying some new food.
And something to look out for. We see Stephen having a few problems with French. What does he do to communicate?
Come on, Stephen.
I'm coming.
We're going on a trip to Paris. It's a very short train ride from London, and it's a chance to experience some French culture and do some shopping.
Ashley's never been to Paris before. I've been loads of times, and I'm looking forward to practicing my French.
Oh, come on, you can practice your French on the train. Paris, here we come.
There's something I'm really missing. Remember once to us kissing. Remember once to make love.
And Stephen is struggling with a new language.
And Ashley's struggling with her shopping bags. Wow, you have been busy.
Yes, and my French is really improving.
And we ask how European the British really are.
Hi, and welcome to the programme.
Now, you're learning English, but you might not know that Stephen is learning another language too.
Yes, I'm learning French, and this week we went to Paris. It made me realise how difficult it is.